Hey everybody. So this is a bit of a different video. I just recently got out of an early screening of Transformers 1, and I was thinking about how my first thoughts and initial review video would go. And originally it was just going to be called My Thoughts, and I kind of thought, you know what, everybody's doing that. What can I bring to the table that's a little bit different in the community? And that's my wife's opinion on the movie as somebody who doesn't really know much of anything about Transformers. So her and I went and saw it on September 14th, and I wanted to have her on here to give her opinion of the movie as a movie. So, what did you think about Transformers 1?
So I've seen the Shia LaBeouf, those movies. So I know a tiny bit about Transformers, but not a lot. So going into this, I thought it was going to be like a kid's movie. I wasn't too excited. I was excited to go with my husband and because he's a fan. But I was actually really impressed with the movie. I thought it was really good. And I know I always say this, it's for both adults and kids can enjoy this movie. So I actually really liked it.
That was something I think that I was a little worried about going into it, was the use of Keegan-Michael Key as Bumblebee. I didn't think it was a bad casting, but I was nervous that every 5 seconds there was going to be a joke, or every time there was an emotional beat, it was going to be brought up with some type of joke. And surprisingly, not only was it not that, but he was used just the right amount. I don't know if you agree with me or not.
Yeah, he did the right amount of jokes. He both towards those kind of dumb jokes that kids find funny, and then kind of jokes that really made me as an adult laugh. I thought were hilarious, and it was just the perfect amount. It wasn't a comedy movie. There was comedy stuff in it to lighten the mood, but I thought it was really good.
I also really thought that Brian Tyree Henry, who voiced D16 or Megatron, I'm not super familiar with all of his work in the past. I've seen him maybe in Bullet Train. I didn't realize he was in the Spider-Verse movies. I didn't really know of him very much. When I first heard him, I thought, that doesn't sound like Megatron. But at least in my opinion, and I'm interested in your opinion if you agree or disagree with me, I think he was probably one of the best, if not the best, characters in the movie because of his performance as Megatron.
Yes, I definitely agree with that. Watching him progress.
You can understand his character and why he does the things he does.
Yes, it's very well explained, and you watch that progression of him. I do have a question, kind of my one complaint about the movie. What are the quintessons?
So it's not a spoiler that the quintessons are in the film. We've seen them in the trailer. We've seen plenty of toys, and I would agree that in this entire movie, that is probably my only one gripe, and that is that the quintessons are not really explained. And I really wish that there was just one extra line in the movie, not to explain them, not to go into the deep, rich lore of the quintessons, but to just kind of say, hey, this is who they are and this is what they do. It's never really explained. As a Transformers fan, it didn't bug me, but obviously for my wife who knows nothing about them, she was like, who are these guys? I wish that was explained a little bit more. Other than that main issue, I think something else that was stand out for me was Chris Hemsworth as Orion Pax. I was really worried. I thought, he's just going to sound like Chris Hemsworth. But I think the first couple lines he had moving forward from then, I didn't think of him as Chris Hemsworth after that. I thought of him as Orion, as a younger Optimus Prime. He obviously wasn't trying to mimic Peter Cullen, but he did such a good job kind of embodying that character.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on that. As he was growing into becoming the character that he becomes, as he grew into the character of Optimus Prime, you see how he kind of transforms his voice into growing into Optimus Prime, but it's not taking away from the original guy's voice. It's still Chris Hemsworth. I could tell it was Chris Hemsworth, but it wasn't taking away from the movie for me. Scarlett Johansson was taking away from the movie for me.
I would have to agree that Scarlett Johansson, she did not do a bad job at all. I think she did a great job. Of the 4 cast members, the other 3 were so fantastic that when I heard her speak, I was like, that's Scarlett Johansson. Which again, the character wasn't bad. She didn't do a bad job. It would just, for me, it was very much, hey, there's these 3 Transformers characters who are really great, and then there's Scarlett Johansson, who's Alita. And that was it. It didn't take me out of the movie, though.
I really just didn't care for Scarlett Johansson's voice.
So something else, before the movie came out, I heard a lot of people talking about how the pacing of the movie was too fast. It was just go, go, go constantly. And going into the movie, that's what I thought. The movie's an hour and 44 minutes, which I really appreciate. Movies these days are becoming longer and longer for no reason. So I appreciate the movie's length, but I was worried that the pacing would be way too quick. Just no time at all to sit and think about what's going on. And I was actually extremely surprised that, at least in my opinion, it wasn't. I thought it was the perfect pacing. The moments of action were high octane and fun, but there was actually a lot of moments to kind of sit there and really think about the characters and what they were going through. And so I want to know if you agreed or disagreed with me on that.
I thought it was a really good pace for the time length that the movie was. I am so happy the movie was under 2 hours. I did not want to sit through a 2.5 hour long movie.
But it kept going.
It kept going. That's the big thing. I'm not a big movie watcher, so if it can keep my attention, it's a good movie. But I do think it was a little, I'd say, predictable.
Yeah.
Because I was able to pinpoint, like, oh, this is going to be the bad guy, this is what's going to happen. There were some stuff that happened that I was like, oh, like, I didn't know early on that D1 was going to be Megatron. D16, sorry. Yeah. D16 was going to be Megatron. That's not a spoiler, everybody knows that. But okay. Yeah. Me not being a Transformers fan, right. I did not know that until I started seeing that progression of him and all the things that he was struggling with emotionally. Did you think that his progression towards that character was well done, or do you think that it was just kind of he's a bad guy now? Oh no, I think it was very well done. It was sad, but it was cool at the same time. I like Megatron. When it comes to the story of the movie, I also heard some reviews that said, the story itself is nothing new when it comes to movies in general. And I think that's a fair criticism, but at the same time, I put together an analogy, which might be a horrible analogy. You can tell me if it's useless or not. It's kind of like getting a hamburger. You've had 100 hamburgers before in your life, and you can go get a hamburger from McDonald's and be like, that's a hamburger. But you can also go to wherever, your favorite hamburger place and have a hamburger. It's just a hamburger, but it's made so well, and it's made to perfection, and it's made the way you like it. And that doesn't make it bad because you've had a hamburger before. It's really good. It's a really good hamburger. I don't know if that's a horrible analogy or not. I wouldn't say like it's a horrible analogy, but I don't want calamari or like anything like escargot or whatever on my hamburger. Yeah. Well, my point being is that some people are criticizing the story of the movie because there's no like huge twist that's going to make people go like, oh my goodness, I never saw that coming. But I don't think that's a bad thing. I think in a similar way, I do think this movie is better than the Bumblebee movie. The Bumblebee movie was great, but if we're all being honest, it was just E.T. It was just the E.T. movie. And that is something that you need to keep in mind. There's nothing inherently new about the story, but it was done very well. It was done in a expertly done way that it was enjoyable, even if you could kind of tell what was going on. Yes, I definitely enjoyed the movie. I did also like that Bumblebee did not talk through like a radio. So he had a normal voice. Were there any standout characters, and if you don't know their name, that's fine, that you really enjoyed? Yes, and I don't know his name in the movie, but I know his name from another movie, and it's Randall from Monsters, Inc. Yeah, Steve Buscemi as Starscream. It's such a perfect casting. But anyways, I normally don't give ratings to movies, but the YouTube algorithm and community loves having numbers on movies, and so I wanted to get your rating on the movie, and then I'll do mine. I'd give the movie an 8 out of 10, which is really big for me. I'd go back and I'd watch it a bunch of times. And yeah, we are going to go watch it again. We get to go to the movies again this next week. So, premiere. Yeah. And for me, as a Transformers fan, I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. A lot of people would say, why not a 10 out of 10? It's not because the movie does anything bad. It's just because I think there could be a little bit more added into the movie, like, again, with the Quintesson stuff.
that could have made it even better, but it's so great. Stepping aside from being a Transformers fan, if I had to rate it just as a movie, I as well would give it an 8 out of 10. I think it's just a great fun time for Transformers fans, for non-Transformers fans. It's rated PG, and so I think a lot of people think, oh, it's a kid's movie, you know, it's not really made for me, but I can't disagree more with that. I think you're going to have a fun time no matter your age. It's just a really well-made movie. That's what I think.
Yeah, and I love that it can be both for kids and adults. I really enjoyed it as the kid version of myself and as the adult version. If y'all are nervous about seeing it, I guess the biggest complaint was the timing of things. Like, people think it's too fast. I do not. Just really good pace. So I definitely say go see it if you're a Transformers fan and if you're not.
Yeah, I think this is the Transformers movie that fans have been waiting well over a decade now for. It really is a golden age era of Transformers, and I hope that the next few Transformers films that we get stay on the path. We all know how Transformers sequels normally turn out. But yes, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Let me know if you want my wife back on the channel again. We'll see if you guys accept her or not. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.
Now is the time for us to stand up together as one.